What's up, everybody? This is TBD Sports, sports show with the name is to be decided, or it's Two Big Ducks. We haven't really, it's up for debate, just like everything else. And I'm Jaren. I'm the host of this show, and to give you a little background on myself, since this is the first episode, I'm a Viking. I'm a big football guy, also a basketball guy, but my goal is to just try to be well-rounded and Colts and Vikings are my teams. So it's been a weird year to say the least in my fandom. Ian.
Um, so like Jaren said, my name's Ian. I'm a huge hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer fan. Uh, Teams like the Penguins, Dodgers obviously have that flag over there. Um, and for soccer, it'd be Chelsea. Uh, yeah.
All right, Tony.
All right,
What's poppin',
you
Chief?
already you already heard. My name's Tony. I play football. All right, used to play football. I was quarterback, so I know how. I got that football brain going big. So you know, yeah, my teams are the Colts, Packers. So you got that rivalry in the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Um, I played basketball. I've gone to championships and stuff for basketball. But other than that, it's really just football. I'm a football guy. I'm a big football guy. That's all I'm about. So
All right, Augustino. With no
So
picture,
as you heard, my
Augustino.
name is Augustino. I'll be going by Ago for short because I know it's a mouthful to say all the time. I'm a big baseball guy. That's my main sport. My team there is the Red Sox. I'm also do football. I'll do a little bit of basketball, a little bit of hockey. My teams for those are I live in Indianapolis, so I got the Colts and the Pacers. And for hockey, I'm a big Penguins fan too.
Yep.
Got some big players in the MLB. David Ortiz, hero of mine. Wilson Contreras, my hometown boy. I love DeMontis Sabonis, fine looking man right there. The hair's so nice.
Absolute.
Ain't nobody in the NBA has better hair than him. And you gotta love just watching Peyton Manning talk in the film room, man. It's
Oh
just
yes, sir.
hearing the amount of knowledge that man has. So yeah,
The
that's a
goat
little
of
bit
indie
about me.
sports.
Yes, sir.
Marcus.
Alrighty. My name is Marcus. I used to play in marching band, and my favorite teams are the the Colts. I love the Colts. It's ride or die.
Yes, sir.
And also the Pacers. I'm from Indy, so I gotta represent both the Indy teams. And yeah, those are gonna be my
Yes, sir.
main two focal points right there.
If you couldn't tell, we're all from Indy. We're all big indie sports fans, except for Ian because he's a nerd, and that's okay. We still love him
Whoa.
I will
anyway.
also try every once in a while. I'm gonna
Not
try.
really from Indy, but
You
I'll
live
try
here.
and balance this out.
yeah.
I'll try and balance things out. I'll play some devil's advocate every once in a while.
It's okay. I'm still
Try
a
to keep it
Minnesota guy
stable.
too, so
Yeah. Yeah, and I am a nerd. I'm wearing Aeronomas jersey. You can see that.
Oh yes, sir.
on
Yeah.
top, I'm also a nerd because me and Marcus were both in band together. So it's
Yeah.
whatever. You don't got to be an athlete to like sports. So let's get into things. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk some NBA. All right. The draft starts in less than an hour. It
Yeah.
is too bad. If I get updates, I will. We will hop on those like if the first pick gets traded. But for now, let's just talk about thoughts. Obviously, there's been some big moves. The first thing that comes to my mind to start things off is Chris Paul going to the Suns. Um, and here's my big thing. Okay, here's my thing. Does Chris Paul make the Suns a playoff team? All right, Ian, what are your thoughts?
I think absolutely not. I think the Suns they have. I think that the Suns have much more work to do, honestly. So didn't they trade Ricky Rubio?
Yeah, they
For
Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre. I think that they are still pretty far away from being a playoff team. I would say. I mean, I am like a really big critic of the Suns. I mean, they have Devin Booker. He's one of the best players in the NBA, but they repeatedly like disappoint just year after year.
Very true.
I don't think that adding Chris Paul would really have like a huge enough impact to propel them into the playoffs.
And I can see your point. I think one thing, obviously, Chris Paul is probably an upgrade over Ricky Rubio at point guard, but
Yeah.
you do have to talk about the fact that you lose a young, growing player in Kelly Oubre, who had shown a lot of explosiveness. I mean, my goodness, the amount of posters that he did in a span of a year last year. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was like this man has hops. He's got the explosiveness to finish at the rim. He had a lot of promise, and you do give that up for someone who's hopped around in the last couple of years. Obviously, Chris
Yeah.
Paul's been moving around a lot recently and has been productive, but nothing insane.
I don't say that he's been like a game changer like level
No.
productive. He's not like it's not like a big trade like if for example like a trade rumor like Russell Westbrook for John Wall, which would be a huge trade
Right.
if that happened. It's nothing like that. It's I mean you got a veteran player who I guess he could serve like to mentor other players, I guess, like Devin Booker or something.
Right.
I could see how that's a addition for the team, but other than that, I don't really see anything that big.
Yeah, adding to that conversation, in the past 3 years, Devin Booker has put up all of his numbers, all of his statistics, his points per game, his field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks have been below his career average, except for his blocks. They've gone up a tiny bit, but you're not really looking for that for a point guard.
Very true.
And his assists per game are down almost 3 full assists per game compared to his career average, which, considering he's not putting up crazy numbers offensively either, shooting. I mean, he shot well last year with 48% from the field, but not so great in 2018, only 41%. You're kind of not getting the same amount of offense straight from him, and his assists are going down.
I think that's a big part of Devin Booker being there, though. I think putting Devin Booker and Chris Paul together gives them a good guard combination or small forward and guard, depending on how you play Booker. But I also think that this will be I think DeAndre Ayton is a huge key to whether or not the Suns are actually a playoff team, not to players in Booker and Paul, because if DeAndre Ayton needs to rack up boards consistently, and he needs to play better defense. And I just think in any sort of depth in the big man for the Suns will be big.
Like speaking of that guard combination, yeah, I could definitely see Devin Booker's numbers going up by adding Chris Paul there. He's another skilled guard. I'd say he's an upgrade from Ricky Rubio, and that would be pretty good for Paul and for Devin Booker's like assist numbers, for example. If you have a player like Chris Paul who's experienced and he's going to be able to, I mean, and he's a better player like overall than Ricky Rubio, I could see those numbers going up.
Definitely. To move on, I want to get Marcus's thoughts on Drew Holiday to the Bucks, which obviously was another really big move in the Bucks. What seems like the Bucks attempt to keep Giannis in town, because obviously that is a big topic of discussion: is will Giannis stay and sign the supermax, or will he go elsewhere?
Well, I think it was actually a really good pickup. I knew from the beginning that the Bucks really needed to do something here if they wanted to convince Giannis for another year. And I think sending George Hill and sending George Hill over there for wow,
Drew
it's
Holiday.
not getting it. Drew Holiday. I think sending him over there for Drew Holiday, it will be a good addition. And you were also able to keep Chris Middleton,
True.
which is also already a good piece. And if we see improvements from him, and if it overall meshes, they were already in the first seed without him. I think they continue to keep that, and we could see maybe a finals push
Right.
this year.
And I think that was big. We just saw that the Bucks were struggled to push through the playoffs because of the
Yeah.
lack of depth that they had. Because when the Lopez brothers are having to carry your offense in any sort of playoff game, you know you need help. All right. So nothing against the Lopez brothers, but that's not a good sign. So I think he's a good addition. Hopefully you don't see any clashing between him and Bledsoe, being that they kind of have similar type games. I think you can play Bledsoe at more of a small forward. I think he's a little bigger than Drew, a little stockier. He can a little stronger, and he could probably play the small forward position. Small forward and shooting guard kind of goes hand in hand. They're both a lot of them are very similar in height. And with basketball, just going in the direction of positionless to begin with, I don't think like height and like I think you can just kind of play that game to game. So it'll be very interesting. My last thing on the NBA, obviously being draft night, there's a lot of talk about this draft class, and a lot of people have been saying, in fairness, that this is a weaker draft class overall. There's no standouts. Like last year with Zion, everyone knew Zion was gonna go first.
Yeah.
Everyone knew he was gonna be good. Like there wasn't much debate. And obviously, in the like Luka was drafted 2 years ago. Trae Young, you got a lot of like young players coming up big, immediately. I don't, and a lot of people are asking, is anybody in this class worth it? Now, I think obviously you got a couple guys. You got the big three at the top of everyone's boards. You got LaMelo, you got Anthony Edwards, and you got Wiseman. It's pretty clear that Wiseman is probably the best big man prospect in this draft. You got some other guys, but the big talk obviously is LaMelo a bust, or do you think he's worth any lottery pick? I mean, anybody. I mean, any thoughts?
Yeah, LaMelo has definitely had a really weird journey to the NBA. I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, he went from playing Lithuania and then Australia, and now he's one of the best NBA prospects right now. So one of the main things that I think about when thinking about like LaMelo Ball's like his like draft weight, I think about the type of competition that he's been facing. College basketball is literally like where the majority of NBA players get picked from, and the level of competition it's able to
Develop.
translate. It's able to develop better. So
Right.
I think that'll be like a huge factor into like playing. I think that's a huge factor into whether he's a lottery pick or not, because you don't know for sure if that if the way that he's been performing is based on if the competition is actually like good enough to translate to the NBA like seamlessly, or it's just that it's like he's playing against preschoolers while he's in third grade.
Right,
You know
right,
what I
and
mean?
I agree with that a lot in the sense that I think there are definitely some glaring flaws in his game. One of them being his defense. He just seems
Yeah.
to not try on defense, which is not good in the NBA. You will get burned. You will look like Michael Porter Jr. out there. Okay, you don't want that. It's not good because at the end of the day, I don't care how well you can shoot. He can't shoot that well. I mean, if we're being honest, shooting is another flaw in his game. He does not have good technique. He crosses his feet a lot when he shoots, which is not good either because you can trip. That's how you get hurt when you get fouled. He extent like elbows are out. I mean, it's his shooting technique is not good. When he connects, it doesn't make it look better. Like okay, so he's not shooting like super well percentage wise. He's not putting up any crazy shooting numbers. His main skill where people like him is obviously in his playmaking, his
Yeah.
passing. And I think that you really have to, I think a lot of people think he's going to come into the league and light it up offensively, and I don't feel like that's
Yeah.
the case. I feel like he'll come in and he's going to probably take a few years to really work in and see if it's really like if it clicks. And I don't know if it will click. I think it'll be up to him and his effort that he wants to put in and what team he goes to. I mean, if he goes to a team like the Timberwolves, I don't see the Timberwolves developing him correctly. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't.
I don't think the Timberwolves do very well
No,
at developing their players. Period.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, if LaMelo wants to truly succeed at shooting in the NBA, I kind of feel like it's going to be like a Markel Fultz thing, where he's just going to have to completely just
Rebuild his jump shot.
rebuild his jump shot from the ground up. Because the main thing that teams want him for, like you said, is his playmaking, and that's only one of the aspects of the game.
Right.
yeah, there's so much more that goes into it to be a good player.
Right.
So this is the
sort of-
this is the only topic I can participate on, or I feel like I should be able to participate on, is Lamelo, because it's Lamelo, and
Go ahead, Tony. Go for it, man.
the Ball family and everything that goes on with them and the drama. But I don't think he should be a number one pick, not even in the slightest. I honestly don't even think he should get drafted in the first round, which
Wow.
which is crazy, because I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I don't think that his transition to the NBA is good enough to validate a number or a round one pick. I'm not saying he shouldn't be a round two, or I'm not saying I wouldn't be surprised if he's a round one, but his transition I don't think is good, because from when he went to high school to Australia, it was not very good. He was struggling, and we all know that it was a bad transition, and I don't think he should have done it. And I think he should have went to college, which is where I think we all thought he would have gone, but no, I do only think that his shooting was only good in high school because he could shoot from the volleyball line. Because
Right.
he could shoot from the volleyball line, and everybody wanted to give him the ball. So he had a lot, but he had a lot of attempts. So it also drove his shots made up, and it made him. I think he inflated his stats in high school and made himself look a lot better than he really was. Because you also see in his 99-point game in high school, he was just cherry picking the whole game. So it wasn't like he was actually like tearing up the defense in high school. Like he was just cherry picking, and every time somebody would get the rebound, he'd already be halfway down the court, if not like the free throw line or damn near under the basket. So I honestly don't think he should even be a first round pick. Like also with his like including his brother. Like his brother, I feel like drew a lot more attention than
Lonzo?
he.
Lonzo?
Yeah, Lonzo.
Okay.
I think he drew a lot more attention than really he should have gotten. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that at all. I think
Definitely took him a while to develop.
I think you're like, you know what you're gonna say?
No, I was just saying I think it's going to be a thing with his like he follows similarly to his brother, because that entire family has done this exact same thing. Even their middle child, like he didn't even make it to the NBA.
Yeah, LiAngelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still pushing to get out of the G League. And I think
Um,
I think you're very correct when Lamelo screams bust.
Like I think you hit the nail right on the head when you talk about Lonzo. Yeah, he made himself look way better than he actually is. He's nowhere near worth of like a top tier pick like that. He's honestly like he's like a mid range player in the draft with the way that he's been playing. And the way you were talking about LaMelo like cherry picking and stuff, it just screams like this guy doesn't know how high level basketball like the NBA or college basketball truly works. He's going to have to make that transition. He's going to have to work hard at it.
The big dogs don't mess
So-
around.
So playing kind of devil advocates here, I feel something that you could argue is that he chooses to play to his to the game he tries to play to the game he finds himself in, which is why we see him try to go more pass minded when he went to Australia instead of kind of how he scored in high school, because he saw, hey, that's not going to work here, is working to adapt. That type of adaptability is something that is useful, especially for someone who's going to need to develop, because you still find uses on the team while you are developing. I completely agree that LaMelo is going to be an investment. If you do pick him, it's not going to be an immediate returns thing. He's not going to be someone who's going to necessarily even win Rookie of the Year. But I do believe that he does have potential to be kind of like a slow burner. Give him 2-3 years. Got to remember, these kids are young. He is 19 years old.
So is
He
Anthony
has
Edwards.
He is
Anthony Edwards and Wiseman. They're all 19 years old.
Yeah.
They have plenty of time ahead of them. Of course, you want to see results fast, but they have plenty of time ahead of them. If you are patient, you can develop these players into future MVPs. Really quickly, I want to take a look at Vegas odds, because people bet on everything. The odds for the number one pick right now is Anthony Edwards favorite, minus 250. If you don't know how odds work, basically what it means, if you bet 200, for you to get $100 back in winnings, you need to bet $250. LaMelo Ball is the next favorite as a plus 190. What that means, if you bet $100 and you win, you'll get 190 back as winnings. So Anthony Edwards has been growing this lead that he had in the odds throughout the day. LaMelo was actually in the lead yesterday, but but halfway through the day yesterday it changed and he's been growing his lead. So we'll see how it goes tonight.
Yep.
Mm.
Go ahead, Ian. We'll wrap it up.
I just want to say, if I was the Timberwolves, I would 100%, 1,000% take Anthony Edwards over LaMelo Ball. Absolutely.
The only thing I was gonna say is go off what Augustino said in the draft stock. So the only thing that sounds like a red flag. Like if your draft stock goes down or it doesn't move very much in overnight and you're going into the draft, like what does that say about his, like, what people are seeing in him?
To be fair, I understand that, but you also need to make that argument for Wiseman, whose odds haven't changed since over a week ago for his odds going first overall. Again, these are Vegas odds, not necessarily draft stock. This is talking about who is most likely to go first overall, not necessarily how good of a player you are or how projectable you are.
We're talking people have too much money to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of too much money to play with, let's talk about the NFL and, having a good time with good
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. There's been lots of stuff that's been happening in the NFL. We're gonna have this. This is gonna be a little bit. This is gonna be a fun segment. So we'll talk a little bit of this week, and then we're gonna get into mid-season. At this point, who's your award winners? And I got a whole list. I got my whole list. So we're gonna talk about that. But let's first. I want to start off with how about them Dolphins? Okay. Let's talk about how good the Dolphins have been on this 5-game win streak that I think people are just now starting to talk about since they beat the Chargers. And I obviously, it's the Chargers. So it wasn't like it was like, oh, but like, still got Justin Herbert. Offense isn't the issue. I think the Dolphins look really stinking good, and the main reason is Brian Flores. Well, I mean, Tua helps, but like Brian Flores has put quite the team together, and it reminds me a lot of the Indianapolis Colts. Let me explain why. When you look at the Dolphins and what they've done in the last 2 years, it's very similar to what the Colts did when Grigson left. Okay? After Grigson left, they bring in new GM, they bring in new head coach, immediately completely rebuild team. They trade away a lot of their notable players. Tannehill leaves, Minka Fitzpatrick leaves, like all these guys, they dip. You know what I'm saying? They get rid of them. They want out. Everyone thinks they're tanking for Tua. They end up getting Tua, but not in the way that you think they would, because they still won 4 games. They still tried really hard, especially with Ryan Fitzmagic, man. I mean, they weren't messing around last year. And I think what we're seeing this year is a very well-coached team that works very hard together on all phases of football, which is very characteristic of how the Colts play and how Chris Ballard built the team around character instead of talent. Cough, cough, the Cleveland Browns. I feel like it's really paying off right now for them. I mean, honestly, they've looked good in all phases. Obviously, I don't think they're the Chiefs. I'm not saying they're the Chiefs or the Buccaneers or anyone like that where they got that kind of talent yet to make a push that deep. But I think we got to watch out for those matchups. I'm pretty sure the Dolphins and the Bills play Week 17, which will be a big game because they're in the same division, and right now the Dolphins are hot on the Bills' tails for that division lead. So, yeah, let's hit me with it. What are y'all's thoughts after Week 10?
So for me, my game to watch Week 10, it's going to be a little bit different. I kind of want to go in a different spot, is Seahawks versus Cardinals. Okay?
Oh, you mean this upcoming week?
Yes, this upcoming week.
Okay.
Not this past week. I'm looking forward for a little bit. So these are two teams that are 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the Cardinals would be in because of a tiebreaker. They are also tied with the Rams. All three teams would be able to make the playoffs if the season ended today.
Tight division.
Tight division, yes. We have three teams tied at 6-3 because of tiebreakers. The Cardinals end up at the top of the division, then the Rams, then the Seahawks. The Rams and the Seahawks would get both of the wild card spots. 2 of the wild card spots right now. So this coming up, in this game that's coming up, we're gonna see 2 of the top 3 offensives in the NFL right now. At number 3, we have the Seahawks with 405.9 yards per game. Then we have at number 2, we're not gonna see them in this game. We have the Chiefs at 409.0 yards per game. And then at number 1, we have the Cardinals with 425.4 yards per game.
Ridiculous.
They are 16.4 yards ahead of the Chiefs, 19.5 yards ahead of the Seahawks in yards per game. So obviously 2 very high flying offenses. We're probably gonna see a lot of scoring in this game, and probably it's gonna turn into these high scoring games. Everybody talks about being an offensive battle. I think they end up being defensive battles of
In a way.
which defense can get a stop.
Yeah,
just
right.
one.
Any sort of
So
stops.
when we look at these defenses, we see a very different story. The Cardinals have the 18th best defense in the league, so just below half. They have been allowing 370 yards per game,
Which is bad.
bad. But the Seahawks are dead last. They're averaging. They're allowing 480 yards per game.
Wow.
So what I think we're gonna see is a Cardinals team who's coming off a win, and a Seahawks team who's coming off of 2 straight losses. And they're both this. If in my opinion, this game is going to determine how this division pans out.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the Rams can make a push through the rest of the year consistently to make enough noise at this point in time. And
it'll be difficult. They might be able to get a wild card spot, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
If the Seahawks want to make a push, they have to win this game.
They
This
have
game
to
is
fix
make or
their
break.
woes on defense.
Exactly. This game is make or break for them. They will be the 3rd consecutive loss. They'll fall out of the playoff picture. And with that defense falling apart that way, they're not going to be able to climb back in.
Especially with teams like the Vikings on a hot streak.
Yeah, and if the Cardinals lose this game, they lose their momentum. They start faltering on their playoff picture. If they win this, they start clinching that playoff picture. So I think that's going to be crucial to see who this game will shape quite a bit of the playoff picture, especially considering that right now, 3 teams from that division would make making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And all of them are going to turn out affected by this game. So I think this is a big game to watch this week.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chunk of interesting games this week. It's gonna be really fun to watch. We have, like you said, the Cardinals and Seahawks. We have the Titans and Ravens. They're both 6-3. They're both looking to come back this season.
Right, because especially after them both struggling recently. Both both Titans and Ravens have not looked particularly good recently.
Watch, and I'm really excited to see that one. Then we have Chiefs and Raiders as well, which I wouldn't sleep on the Raiders on this one. They can really be dangerous at times, you know.
We already saw they can beat the Chiefs. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it again.
And then we have the Rams and Bucks. So these are a lot of key matchups here. It's really going to be a make it break it. Who's ready to step it up and start making these playoff pushes.
Right.
Coming up soon.
As we're getting later in the season, I mean, we only got 8 weeks left, 7 weeks left, and obviously we're starting to. Some teams are out of it. You know, you got teams like the Jets, the Jaguars. They're out. They're in it in their own way. They're racing for a different type of first.
Yeah.
Tank Bowl.
Yeah.
I actually have a very interesting thought. I think that the week 1 game between the Jaguars and the Colts will be the most impactful game of the entire season. Let me explain why.
Okay.
That Jags win is their only win. Okay? If the Jets continue their ways, they will not win a game for the rest of the year.
Perfect
And the
season.
And the Jags will have that one win, giving the Jets the first pick to take Mr. Trevor Lawrence. Now, if you're the Jags, you can still take Justin Fields. He's cool, but he's not Trevor Lawrence. Let's be real. At this point in time, as a scout, I think we all know that Trevor Lawrence is his own beast, the Greek god. Okay, he's just built different, you know. Um, look at that hair. It's not important, but look at that hair. Okay, he has shown absolutely ridiculous signs of athleticism, arm talent, and strength, and he's just crazy. Okay, he's been crazy since high school. This is nothing new. But the Jags will not be there to get him because they accidentally beat the Colts week 1. And on top of that, let's say that week 1 loss ends up, let's say the Titans make another push, they start winning games again. That one loss that the Colts had to the Jaguars will put them one game back on the Titans, and boom, we're at, then we don't win the division. Maybe we're not in the playoffs, depending on. I mean, the AFC is tight right now. There have been you got a lot of strong AFC teams this year with no clear teams in the NFC who's the best, whereas the AFC have a lot of very clear dominant teams. I think it's very important to look at the impact that Jaguars game had, and we didn't even realize it at the time. We didn't even realize it. Neither did the Jaguars.
There's 6 teams in the AFC right now that are tied with the Colts at 6-3, and if you add the 3 teams that have better records, you have 9 teams that are above 6-3 or better.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's get into some of these midseason awards. Let's talk about who we think at this point in time deserves these awards. So I think obviously MVP is the obvious one. We'll get to MVP. Let's talk about these rookies. Okay, let's talk about these rookies. Here are my 2 rookies. Okay, for the offensive player of the year, I know I'm a little biased, but Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, has been the most consistent and helpful to his team. I understand that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert have been good as quarterbacks, but let's look past the fact that they're a quarterback and they're expected to do that. They're not winning games, even though they're playing well. And at the end of the day, if you're not winning games, you're not helping your team enough. Justin Jefferson has been leading this Vikings offense back to relevance along with Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. I think you have to talk about how good he looks, especially since and how deep this wide receiver draft class was. I think it's pretty clear who the best is. Sorry, Chase Claypool. I ain't seen enough out of you. You haven't been consistent enough. You had 1 4-touchdown game. You don't got the yards. You don't got the touchdowns. Rest in peace, your Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign. I think it comes down to 3 people. It has to be Burrow, Herbert, and Jefferson. And right now, at this pace, I think Jefferson should get it. Will he? Probably not, because they're quarterbacks, and quarterbacks get the spotlight. That's just the reality.
I think Herbert's going to get it. The only reason I say that is because the Chargers are among 3 teams who are within 1-score games out through the entire season, despite them being 1 or 2 and
they're
whatever
2-7.
Yeah, 2-7. Despite that, they're also within 1-score games.
Yep.
Well, you might not say that that's good enough for a quarterback to only win 2 games as good as he's playing, which I understand that, but I am saying that they are still in all of these games, and they all are they might as well flip a coin and see who wins. Like they're still in there, so I think Herbert is probably going to beat out Burrow if it does come down to either of those 2.
Yeah, piggybacking off of what Tony said there, another thing that you got to consider about Justin Herbert, apart from him, all those losses being very close, he also this Sunday became the first rookie in NFL history to have at least 2 touchdown passes in 6 consecutive games. So, yeah, his team isn't necessarily producing, but I feel saying that he's not helping his team enough is a bit of a stretch considering the production. Yes, correct. He's throwing picks. That's something that needs to correct. He's a rookie. He's a rookie, to be fair. I don't get me wrong.
Jefferson hasn't thrown any picks. That's all I'm saying.
I see what you're saying, but I feel that Justin Herbert has a very, very solid case right now.
I just have to say, Justin Herbert only has 6 picks in all of his games that he did lose. So I mean, that's a very low number of
That's
picks.
fair.
So I mean,
He don't got that
that's
clutch gene yet, though.
that's
He's got those
no. I
Charger
mean, it
genes.
still is. It still is 6 picks. We wish it was lower, but we all know that that's a lot to ask of really any quarterback, let
Very
alone
true.
a rookie. So
On to let's talk about the defensive rookie of the year, and in this case, there's a lot of conversation about who this should be because there hasn't been a clear standout, save like a couple of years ago with Darius Leonard. I think it was pretty clear that Darius Leonard was the rookie of the year, unless you were a Cowboys fan and you were crazy and you thought Leighton Vander Esch was somehow better. If you were that person, I'm so sorry that you don't understand football. Um,
Dang.
just being real. But I think in this year, once again, totally not biased, but I think you got to talk about Julian Blackmon, and I say that very genuinely. Now, obviously, I think a safety is going to win it this year because the other person that's being talked about right now is Antoine Winfield Jr. from Minnesota for the Bucks. He's also been very strong as in his rookie year, and he's played a lot of snaps, and he's played pretty consistently. But here's my thing: Julian Blackmon has made the big plays when they have counted. Okay, and I think that's very key because at the end of the day, the best defensive players are the big play defensive players because if you can make those big plays, you are completely throwing the game on its back. I think that's why people like Darius Leonard were able to stand out so much because of his big play capability. Picks, sacks, fumbles, whatever. You know what I mean? Tackles for loss. If you can make that stuff at the end of the day, that's what matters because you're helping your team way more than like, ooh, I tackled him for a 5-yard gain. I'm so good at football. You know what I mean? Like that's not, okay, that's nice. You can tackle. That's why we drafted you. Whereas Julian Black, two huge picks in the fourth quarter. One against the Bears, one to steal the comeback against the Bengals while they were on the drive to try to score and take the lead. That's a rookie, man. He has great coverage too. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he's in like third in the league in QBR when he's targeted at with 40, which again for a rookie free safety is unheard of. I mean, out of Utah. I mean, it wasn't like he was he was a third-round draft pick, man. Like he's not Jamal Adams. We didn't draft him 6th overall to be some absolute stud. Like it wasn't like we were expecting anything insane out of him. Obviously, I mean, it's Chris Ballard. He knows everything. He knew he was going to be rookie of the year. But that's besides the point.
I do think, just to add to this while you're still going, I think Julian Blackmon, I think, is in the lead by about 100 points, based on just like sheer odds, just not out of stats or anything, but just the odds of him getting it. I think he's winning by like 100 or 200.
Well, at this rate, he's surpassing Winfield Jr. Like at the beginning of the year, Winfield had a nice pace, but then Blackmon started starting as Malik Hooker got hurt, and he's just zooming. I mean, we saw him, that game against the Titans really helped him as well. Getting on national television really helped his case because we were like, oh yeah, that guy's good. You know, it always helps when you get to be on the big stage.
And to think he did this coming off an injury.
Oh yeah,
where it lowered the draft stock by a lot, and we picked him up, and he comes back in, and he's already making huge plays. He's becoming really dependable.
Yeah.
As in, this defense is really trusting him with all the duties. He's everywhere around the field. He is going up for the big plays. Even when he doesn't get the interception, he's there tipping the ball up. Like, I just love what I'm seeing from him.
He reminds me a lot of Harrison Smith, in the way that he ball hawks and the way he roams. He obviously doesn't have the IQ just yet of Harrison Smith, but Harry the Hitman's been in the league a long time now, so that's a little different. Just in his game plan and the way he's a big hitter. You know, he's not scared to hit you. We've seen that already. He's good. He can ball hawk all day. You know, he'll jump a ball and find success. That's how he's gotten his picks. He's caused picks like in his first game. He tipped that pass for Kari Willis to get that interception. I believe that was against the Vikings. And yeah, I mean honestly, he just comes up big. You know, when the ball goes in his direction, good things happen for the most part. I mean obviously no one's perfect, but like if we're being more often than not, I see good things, not bad things. So
Yeah, I think Marcus brings up a good point. He just came off an ACL injury, and we all hear the Chris Ballard's, it takes at least 12 months to fully recover from an ACL injury. And it's been, when he started playing, it was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something like that. And so I think it just proves that Malik Hooker wasn't where he needed to be after his ACL. And I think it justifies his reduced role and maybe goodbyes from the team, which
I really do.
you know,
I really do feel bad. Like Malik Hooker was supposed to be, that safety that
right,
we
the
were
future.
that was going to be. Yes, exactly. And his injuries and it just got to him. And I really do feel bad. And I do feel like I don't think he's going to be a Colt after this year.
I don't think
Which
he is
hurts.
either,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks. But to what Jaron said about Harrison Smith, I think that you make a good point. I do agree with you, but I think to be able to make that comparison, we need to see more versatility from Blackman, because Harrison Smith plays all over the field.
Very
He
true.
doesn't just necessarily play like deep safety. Harrison Smith can play up against the line and do inside zones and stuff like that. Kind of like
Matthew.
well,
Tyrann Mathieu.
that's a good comparison. But I was thinking more old heads, like a Ed Reed.
Okay. Or
I'm not
Troy
saying Harrison
Polamalu.
Smith. Yeah, I'm not saying that those are comparable people. I'm just saying that they had comparable roles.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all I'm saying.
I get you. I get you a lot. Let's keep
I
going.
think
Oh,
I was
sorry.
gonna say really quickly a name that I kind of want to throw in there, more of a not necessarily as obvious. It would be Jalen Johnson, the cornerback for
Yeah,
the
the
Bears.
Bears corner. Yeah.
Yeah. Just pulling up his passes defensed. He is currently in third in the NFL with 13.
Yeah.
And is projected to end up at where is it at? He's projected to have 21 by the end of the season, which is a pretty
Yeah.
solid number.
Well, and I think a
for a
big thing is
rookie.
as a rookie is you get targeted a lot. You know, they want to test you.
Definitely, they
And
do want
he's
to test you, so
Proven
his
that.
pace will probably go down. But he has time and time again proven that, hey, you throw it this way, I'm gonna make a play.
Continuing off of that on getting targeted a lot, let's talk about the comeback player of the year. Now, obviously, I think you got to talk about Alex Smith, okay, who just threw for 390 yards in his first start in over 700 days. Good for him, man. I know they lost, but
Yeah,
it's because
that's
he
awesome.
plays for the Washington football team. Poor guy.
They still make the playoffs though.
they can still make the playoffs.
Hey, man.
Playoff
Hey,
Smith,
man.
bro.
We'll talk about it in a sec. Don't worry.
So, but my comeback player of the year is Xavier Rhodes. All right, and I've talked about this with you guys, but obviously this is the show where we get to talk about this to the people. Okay, and Xavier Rhodes has been fantastic this year. And if you had said that 2 years ago, they would be like, yeah, that makes sense. It's Xavier Rhodes. He's a first-team All-Pro corner who's lockdown on everyone they put him up against. But for the people that have been watching football recently in the last year or two, Xavier Rhodes has not been that shutdown corner. In fact, he was one of the worst in the NFL, and he allowed 80%, if not higher, just over 80% completion percentage last year on targets, which is very bad. That is extremely bad. 80%, bro. That includes balls that can't even be caught. Okay, that is not good. That is not good. So, and he also had lots of penalties with like pass interference, holding, all the above. It was terrible. So obviously, when the Colts picked him up, we picked him up cheap. And it's worked out extremely well as he's completely developed into another big body lockdown corner who will hit you and he'll hit you hard. And he matches up really well with Rocky Sin on the other side. I mean, he's just shown time. Like again, early in the year he got targeted a lot because of his poor play in recent years. But um, he's shown him, hey, I'm back. Like, listen, I don't care how bad I was last year. This year, I'm a new man. Like, and I think he has 11 passes defensed. And he also has kept it to, I believe it's 60 QBR when targeted, which is also very good considering how much he's been targeted. Obviously, some games have been better than others, but some matchups have been harder than others. I mean, he's gotten their big. I mean, I feel like it's real, especially in this most recent game against the Titans. Him and Rock working together to hold A.J. Brown, their best receiver, to one reception for 21 yards, and it was in the first quarter. After his catch, he had a drop and nothing for the rest of the game. Nothing. That's
He
big.
has 10 passes defensed, by the way. He has
Okay,
10 passes.
I thought it was 10.
And we're not going to talk about how AJ Brown just blew by, blown coverage. We're not going to talk about that. Just we're
No,
gonna keep
that's
that out of the
okay
conversation.
because that was one play, and then it was for the
Yeah, I
rest
mean,
of the game lockdown.
It was one play. I'm just going to add, though, that it was extremely, extremely important for him to miss the ball.
Well, wait, was that Xavier on that coverage though, or was that Rock? I
Yeah.
feel like it was Xavier.
It was, yeah.
Okay,
But it was a one play. It was like one of the only plays this season where he's actually done that.
right.
or at
There were
least
some
to
in
that
like week
extreme.
1 when he was still learning the defense that he had a couple blown
Yeah,
coverages.
week 1 there was a bit of worries of what is he doing.
Yeah, but then after that, dude, I mean, honestly,
Yeah, he's been absolutely great this season.
considering how bad he was last year and how
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly.
Like I definitely see what you say, but just Alex, man.
I know that's what I know.
After nearly dying, not being again, he has one game back, so like it's definitely way too early to say anything at this point. Because like I mean, if he comes back this week and then just throws
that's why I can't say Alex. I just feel like
that's
it's
out
too
the
late.
window.
I feel like it's too late in the season for him.
I don't feel it's too late in the season. I just feel he needs to keep it up and follow that performance up, not with the same, but just good quality performances for the rest of the season. And I think you'll be able to lock that down.
Yeah, I think he needs to. I think he needs to lead the Redskins to the playoffs. Even if that might not be a big feat, but again,
what is it?
I
It's
mean,
like
that
3
team
wins,
is kinda
3 wins,
what it
2
is.
and 2.
but
Yeah,
I
it's
would
3-3,
love to
2-2.
see. I would love to see Alex Smith not only like lead
Yeah,
them to the
man, I
playoffs,
think
but
it,
also get
it
the
might
honors.
be, it could very well be possible. They play the Bengals next, which I would, which I think
Tank
they,
Bowl.
which at that point I think, or at least I hope the Bengals win. But then they play the Cowboys. I hope it's a win, for the football team. But they also play the Steelers. They do play the Steelers, so there's an automatic loss right there.
Hey man, the Steelers. I have no idea what the Steelers are at this
No,
point, man.
I was just saying that just because they're
I
8-0.
know.
I do think that they, like I said last week, even though we didn't actually like record anything, I don't think the Steelers are truly 8-0.
No, I
Like,
think they could easily
I-
be 5-3.
I swear they've gotten bailed out 2 weeks in a row. Too many close games where they're up way too high to be letting the scores come back. And like we saw last season with the Colts, if you play with fire, then you are going to
To
get
get burned.
yeah, you're going to get burned. And I hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. Pittsburgh has 26 2016 or 26 16 26 21 28 21 38 29 38 7 27 24 28 24 24 19 and 36 10. So you can say two maybe 3 games are undisputable wins, but everything in here is less than a 10 or even 7-point differential in their games. And when the Colts were doing it last year, you would think 5-2 that they were good, that they were a good team, but they were also playing with like it was like a 4 or 5 point differential, maybe even 3-point differential.
And it came
you
back to
saw
bite us.
yeah, exactly.
Steelers
You saw
were
like a 7 game losing streak for the Colts, and I think against Baltimore and the
Say
Colts,
Baltimore.
you know what I meant.
Uh,
You know what I meant. I think Baltimore and the Colts and maybe a Cincinnati upset can really destroy their perfect season.
Also, let us not forget that the Steelers beat the Cowboys, but they were facing a fourth string quarterback and had to make a end zone stop on the last play of the game to win that game.
Yeah.
Fourth
Man.
string quarterback.
Not a good look.
Fourth string quarterback.
Not a good look for the best defense in the NFL.
They're not the best defense in the NFL either. I don't. They're
Colts are
they're
right now. I'll tell you.
six. Yeah,
numbers
the
gang,
Colts.
gang.
No, yeah, the Steelers are 6th in yards per game at 318, which that's decent, but it's not Colts good. They're they're way below 300, which 10 points or 10 yards a game doesn't seem like a lot, but like in the heat of the game, 10 yards a game or 10 yards in the game makes a big difference because that's a first down.
Right.
So
Colts are allowing 290 yards per game. They are allowing the least yards per game out of anybody in the NFL right now. Steelers are allowing 318.
What's it, like third?
They are 6th.
6. Okay.
I love talking about the Colts defense. Love it.
Dude, I could talk about the Colts. We could have a whole episode about the Colts.
I know
and their
you guys
defense.
love to talk about that.
But that's okay. We're gonna keep on going with these. I'm gonna list off my last. We won't get into the coach of the year. We all know it's Brian Flores. Let's talk about MVP, offensive player, and defensive player of the year. Okay, so here's my 3. All right, defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett. Okay, offensive
Facts.
player of the year, Dalvin Cook, and
Facts.
then MVP, Kyler Murray.
Facts. I
All
agree with
right.
everything here.
Let's talk. All right.
I just wish we would have said Kyler Murray before this week, so we didn't seem like bandwagon because last game. But we're not gonna talk about that.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's be real. Danger Russell Wilson has thrown himself out of the club of the MVP race recently with the number of turnovers he's had.
10 picks this season.
Yep, and I don't care how many touchdowns you throw, if you can't be choking in that many games. And I understand
He's
that the
tied
Seahawks are
for
nothing
third.
without him.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to give him some credit though. I mean, I don't think he's MVP. Not even. I don't. But I'm just saying you gotta give him some credit. He's literally the heart and soul and the driving force of this offense. And literally, if he's gone, I think they're not even any. I don't even know if they could be 500 without
No, I
Russell
think
Wilson.
they would be in the conversation for the first pick. in the NFL draft.
Exactly.
I agree, but he's
So
also
because-
tied. He's
because-
tied for third for the most picks in the NFL right now.
More
Yeah.
than Phillip.
Yeah, which is
Oh,
which is crazy because without Russell Wilson, I don't think they're third in the league with passing yards a game, and their rushing yards are absolutely garbage for having a
They
running
don't
back
have a
with Chris
single
Carson.
100-yard rusher this year.
Yeah, which you would think Chris Carson,
They don't have an
he's a
O-line
decent.
either.
Yeah, they don't have an O line. Chris Carson is actually a pretty good back, but him and Rashard Penny, they don't stay healthy. And
No.
you saw last year, both of them got hurt going into the playoffs
They
and
had to
barely
shun
did play.
Marshawn Lynch, bro. They had to bring in Marshawn. They had to bring in beast mode. That's how desperate they were for a running back.
Yeah, and the only reason they're staying in these games is they're first in points per game with 32.2, and that's
Yep.
attributed to Russell Wilson.
Definitely. We'll move on to the hottest of takes here in a bit. But let's to wrap up this real quick. I think it's Myles Garrett or Aaron Donald this year. Again, I think Myles Garrett will come out on top. He's leading the league in sacks with 9.5. He's got 4 forced fumbles. He's just been dominant, getting to the quarterback, doing his job. As long as he doesn't hit anyone over the head with a helmet again this year, I think he's got it in the bag.
Should be a yearly tradition.
I don't.
Oh.
No, he's got to do something bigger this year. He's got to step his game up. You know what I mean? He's got to take off their entire pads and jersey and crack him over the head with it. You know, you got to step up your game, Miles. But nah. I think he's at this pace. He's my favorite. He's been the most dominant consistently. I mean, the man's just every single game has he's a force, just an absolute force, absolute unit every game. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Donald, we expect it from him. Okay, it's Aaron
I
Donald.
think that's where he separates himself from Aaron Donald.
Yep.
Is Miles Garrett is so much more versatile in where he lines up. You can put him at an outside linebacker spot, and he's just as fast or faster. And you can put him in the interior just as faster than the best interior rushers. Like, he's just so versatile. And I think on a couple occasions he does do a respectable job at coverage if you do put him out there, because sometimes you have weird coverages where you take an interior lineman and put him on, I don't know, where typically one of the outside linebackers zone would be. So, like, 5 yards off the tight end, somewhere around there. I think he does at least a respectable enough job
So
to make that
Anthony,
noteworthy.
Yep,
Okay.
Ian, go.
I just wanted to say that Anthony Edwards just went number 1.
Hey, the
I like
Timberwolves
that.
did draft.
Yes.
Interesting.
They went-
They listen
they-
to me. They listen to me.
They waited until like 0-0-0-0. Like the clock ended, and then they made the pick.
It'll be very interesting.
That's crazy.
We'll keep going through that as those picks come in. It'll be interesting to see if they trade him to someone or if they'll keep him on the roster. But I think they'll probably keep him.
Really hope they don't trade him.
Yeah,
really hope
I don't know if we need him if we keep D'Angelo Russell, but that's a whole conversation for another day. I just wanted to wrap up, just quick thing. I think we know Dalvin Cook right now is the best running back in the NFL. That's why he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year, because running backs don't get to win MVP. It's a quarterback award. Let's be real. Unless you're Trevor Lawrence or 2012 Adrian Peterson.
Just seen a ghost orb go by Jaren's screen. I want to point that out. White fuzzies going across Jaren's screen. Play Phasmophobia.
I always knew I lived in a haunted house. But I think MVP, this is why Kyler Murray is being slept on, and I don't think he's being that slept on, especially after throwing that absolute bomb to
That's such a
DeAndre
difficult
Hopkins.
throw.
Yeah,
That is such
dude.
with the amount of
Crazy.
that literally has to be like a honest to God perfect pass ever. Like, you create time. You don't even know where DeAndre Hopkins is.
You almost get
As
sacked.
soon as, you almost get sacked, and you have no idea where your receivers are anymore because you're too worried about not getting sacked. You run, I don't know, almost 40 yards to the left, and then on that, he's a right-handed thrower, so
Right.
it's already hard enough to be
He's
running
falling
to the left.
to his left, throwing.
Falling 55 yards.
Yep.
And not only is it an absolutely immaculate, perfect throw, it's just as good of a catch, because at that point you have to high point the ball perfectly because there's 3 guys around you. While there are 3 guys around you, Hopkins is 6'1", and everybody around him is 6 foot or smaller. And he also does have, I think, like a 4-inch vertical on everybody there, at least, if not more. And so he high points the ball, and it's just such a great catch that it's too, like, it's not even a Madden play. It's so perfect.
So really quickly, just quick devil's advocate. I'm not gonna get into it, but just if you're someone who has the feeling that you want to be against Kyler Murray being MVP, Kyler Murray is not in the top 10 for the following stats: QB rating, adjusted QB rating, QBR, yards per game, touchdowns, total yards, and completion. No, he is barely in the top 10 for completion percentage, where he is 9th. So if you want to argue against him, that's your argument there. But the eye test is doing wonders for Kyler Murray.
It's like
right now.
Lamar last year. It's just like Lamar last year. I'm telling you. We're sleeping. People aren't talking about him as what he's doing because we already watched Lamar do it last year. But you know what he's doing better than Lamar is passing the football. That's what he's doing better than Lamar, and he's running it just as well.
I will
Yeah.
say with those stats like that, you can when you hear seventh, eighth, ninth, or w- wherever these stats fall, especially with quarterbacks, which I know is pretty biased, even though I am one. But the stats and ranking can get severely misconstrued with
Definitely.
numbers because you can say somebody's 14th in completion percentage, but you're literally like a point away from being
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
third.
Again, that's why I said
So
this is devil's advocate. I'm all
no, no,
for
no.
Kyler Murray because there's
No, I
definitely
got that. I'm just explaining that for people who may not know. So like arguing against Russell Wilson. So arguing against Russell Wilson like we were, Kyler Murray is 68.2 completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 7.6 yards average per throw,
Which is good.
which is it's actually really good, especially third year in the NFL, fourth year.
It's
So, but you
Kyler's
also
Kyler's
Yeah.
second, isn't
second.
it?
This is his second year. He was
Oh,
just
wow.
drafted last
Time-
year. Time flies.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then you again, we're arguing with Russell Wilson mainly, 69.8.
Barely a difference.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, we're not gonna get into that.
But,
Let's move
we're not
on
gonna-
to.
But I'm just saying, Russell Wilson is at 69.8. So you're like within 5 throws of completion, barely more yards, like total yards, 8.4 throw, and then 28 touchdowns and 10 interception. So you're right there. You're not too far off of what you would consider everybody's favorite for MVP. You're not that far off, even in the slightest.
think
You're right
he's,
there.
He's gonna keep
So-
getting better.
There's games left to play,
Right.
and again, there's stuff that the stats just don't show you. There's
Mid-season
things that the
awards.
stats just don't show you.
Mid-season awards. All right, let's get on to the hottest of takes. My personal favorite segment where Ian gets to talk because it's not football all the time.
Okay.
And basically, to explain the hottest of takes real quick, we just all bring our hot take or our opinion that is probably not correct or accurate in any capacity, but we do it anyways because we like debating and talking. So, yeah, let's get into it. Ian, I'm going to let you start, man. I'm going to let you start.
Okay. So I think that the New York Mets will be able to make a World Series appearance within the next 4 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting scared
Okay.
that you weren't going to say 4 years there. I was getting scared that you were going to say 4 years.
What?
Next year.
No. But Steve Cohen recently bought the New York Mets, and he came in his first press conference with them, and he said, "I'm not going to he's going to play for the fans as the owner of the Mets. He's not going to be like the Wilpons where they're penny pinchers and they try to act like they're like a small market team or something. Like they try to work on
Small market team.
small market team when they're in New York, and they try to they want to be like the Pirates where they try to spend as the least amount of money possible on their players. I think that Steve Wilpon, he will be able to put enough money in the team, get them good players. Theo Epstein just left the Chicago Cubs. Theo Epstein, president of baseball operations, legendary president of baseball operations for getting the Cubs a World Series after
He did the impossible.
108 years.
a ridiculous drought. I think they could go after him. I mean, and they still have an open GM spot.
Oh,
I mean,
whoa,
I think
sorry to interrupt, but I just came across this. Robinson Cano just got suspended for the 2021 MLB
I did
season.
see
Opt
that.
for
for the whole season.
PEDs.
It's crazy what the well-balanced breakfast will do to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus, any updates on the draft?
James Wiseman just got the second pick for the Warriors.
Real okay, that doesn't surprise me. The Warriors, the drafting a center, it'll be interesting to see how he pans out.
And
I
as I was
with
saying-
that
wait.
with with those two picks being done, the Hornets are gonna get LaMelo. It's already.
Oh, that's right,
Jordan
because Jordan said that they would take LaMelo. Sorry, not LeBron. LeBron doesn't have that much power.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as
So
I was saying with the Mets, I mean also JT Realmuto he's a free agent now, and catching is one of the Mets' biggest problems. I think that
Yeah.
they could definitely go after him. They have the money too. I mean, they're the New York Mets. Come on. Uh, they tried to go after him when he was a free agent before he signed with the Phillies, but they didn't want to give him enough money. So I think that with Steve Wilpon willing to spend money on this franchise, they're going to be able to do something big.
Very true. I agree with that hot take a lot. Because I mean, I don't see any problem. I mean, they've already got a solid team to build around. They've got pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got guys like Pete Alonso who can crank. You know what I'm saying? Just,
Yeah.
just
Like they have-
drill those baseballs into the stands on a regular
They
basis.
have like Jacob DeGrom,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best pitchers in baseball. Period. Marcus Stroman is still a Mets.
Arguably one of the best pitchers of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, if you win a Cy Young with a losing season, that shows how good you are,
Yeah.
and how much your team is failing you.
and Noah Syndergaard, I think that they could try to make a play to bring him back. I mean, I know that he might be a free agent. They could try to offer him an option. I think that they could try to get him back this year. Trevor Bauer is still he's a free agent, and if they don't go
That's gonna
after
be a
Noah
crazy pitching
Syndergaard,
board.
if they don't go after Noah Syndergaard, they don't bring him back. They still have Trevor Bauer. They still have him as an option. I think they have a lot of options these next few years. And plus Francisco Lindor, he's in a bunch of trade talks. The Indians are willing to trade Francisco Lindor. So I mean, like, they have so many things that they could do right now
Right.
to make them.
Options.
They have so many options right now that could.
I
set
believe
them up for the future.
I believe the Mets definitely have a path. I don't know how well they're going to be able to follow that path, and if they're going to be able to go down that road and be able to achieve that. But
It
they
is the
definitely
Mets.
have a path. It is not out the question.
You never
One
know
of the
what
things
Mets
that
are gonna
worries
do.
me a little bit, not too much, because this season was a shortened season, but Pete Alonso, his numbers went down a bit. Again, it was a short season. There's a lot of stuff that you can see. His home runs were good, were 16, but his average went down, which scares me a bit. It went down from 260, which is above league average, by technically 1%, just by 10 average. It went down to a 231 this season, which again, shortened season, numbers get skewed. I understand, but it does scare me a little bit because him being a home run guy, teams and the way the league has started to move, where you really need to be getting on base. It's something that we've seen. On base and home runs are a combination. You need to be hit big, but you also need to get on base. That
Which
number going
is-
down scares me a little bit.
a lot
Obviously,
to
average
ask.
isn't that favorite number. It's a lot of ass, but it's what's got to be done.
Right.
Worries me a bit that pitchers are starting to find his number, starting to figure him out. Be interesting to see what he does this offseason.
Very true. All right, let's talk to
And
Tony, who's now
LaMelo
brooding.
Ball just went through the Hornets.
That is
Brooding.
Yeah, you're brooding over there in your hoodie.
Tony. But it's Tony.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how you
kind
know
of
it's
it's
gonna be
getting kind
hot.
of cold. So
Ice cold.
I don't wanna drag this on because I don't want you guys to have like a 2-hour file to
Ah,
to
it's-
upload or anything like that. So
It's cool,
What's the
man.
so
take?
you guys don't need to respond. Just think about it.
Okay.
But if you talk to me about football, I've said this for years. Cam Newton draft bust.
Okay, no, we're talking about this because now I want to talk about it.
Wow.
Cam Newton is a bust. If you remove his MVP season, and I know me and Tony have
And his
talked
rookie-
about this,
His MVP and
his rookie
season.
year, you get rid of his rookie year and his MVP, he looks like Jameis Winston. he's
And
Jameis
this
Winston.
and this year with who you would think is the best head coach ever,
Possible, right?
or possibly best head coach ever, and you are playing this terribly.
Yeah.
it does not help your case,
Nope.
and
Especially when you
it
are
helps
healthy.
mine. Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't
Especially
have the
when you are
injury
healthy.
excuse anymore that he's used the last couple of years. Like, oh, my shoulder hurts. And you can't do that. Sorry, Cam. Sorry, Super Cam. You're not so
I
super
think-
anymore.
I
This-
think more than any skill wise, for him the problem has been all in his head.
Mm.
Because I feel that once you have that kind of season and put up those kind of numbers, you've demonstrated that you have the physical talents to be an MVP quarterback.
Definitely.
So what's changed? That Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Von
Got in his
Miller.
head.
Von Miller still gives him
I don't think,
nightmares
and,
to this
and not,
day.
it's not necessarily that Von Miller specifically, but just that whole fiasco, losing that big of a game, having that big of a
man.
moment, quote unquote stepping out, folding and not diving after the ball.
Quote
on
unquote.
that play.
Quote
It was
unquote.
not
Whoa,
quote
whoa,
unquote,
whoa.
bro. He
That was-
watched that bad boy.
Yeah,
So
he
I say
walked-
quote
he
unquote. I
walked
say
away
quote
from it.
unquote. I say quote unquote because we've watched that play too many times in replay. Watched that full speed. Yeah, he's definitely walking away from it, but making a decision that fast isn't as easy as it seems. That's all I gotta say.
That's
He should have
fair.
dove. Don't get
That's
me
your
wrong. He should have
job.
dove. He should have dove on it, but he should have dove for that ball. But
as
it's also
a-
not out of the question that someone who is MVP caliber would have not dove for that ball and still
As
cared
a
about the game.
as a former quarterback, if you lose the ball off of a snap or if you fumble it from your hands, you have your one responsibility, and that is
And
to
it's
get the ball
on there.
back.
I know. Don't get
So-
me wrong. I'm not saying he was in the right in not doing that. I'm just saying that alone doesn't determine being like, oh, he doesn't care. But I feel
No.
him seeing that and
But
seeing
it's funny
himself
to make
fold
fun
in
of.
that way. Fair enough, but him seeing himself fold in that way and just not him realizing, like, damn, I just did that. I just messed up in this big stage. I don't think he's been able to figure out how to cope with that and manage that.
Definitely. And the injuries. I think injuries that we've definitely seen can take a toll. Luke Kuechly retiring because of concussions. Andrew Luck retiring
Yeah.
because of Ryan Grigson.
Terrible
Sorry,
offense.
Marcus. As Marcus slowly disappears.
Just guys.
It's okay. We all died. That's a story for another day, though. Me and
I have
we
I have one little thing that has absolutely this much to do with the sport. The holiday song by Lil Nas. I don't know if any of you heard it yet.
Oh
I
my
haven't
God.
heard it.
Absolute,
I haven't heard it.
absolute banger. Absolute bop.
Wait,
Been on
really?
repeat.
Really?
Been on repeat since the day it came out. Been on repeat.
You listening to it right now, Tony?
I'm about to as soon as we get done with this.
Tony's got his
Don't play-
priorities set straight.
Don't play it out loud. We're not trying to get copyright
Nah,
claims.
No, because
Yeah, no
I sent it.
copyright
I
claim,
sent
no
it. I
copyright
sent it to
claim.
Marcus. I sent it to Marcus, and I haven't sent it to you guys yet. I don't know if you heard it or not.
I haven't
sent
listened to
Marcus.
it yet.
I haven't heard it yet.
All right,
But
I'll
yeah.
send it to you guys.
All right, but yeah, I think general consensus, Tony, that's not hot, bro. I know you have hotter takes than that, Tony. But I
I
mean,
just don't know. No,
Do
like
better.
I know it has. I between you and me and probably Augustino, it's not that hot of a take. I just didn't know how Marcus and even Ian, because Cam Newton's a big name. I figured that it would help incorporate everybody to the hot take conversation. So I figured.
Hey, this makes sense.
Marcus, I want to know your thoughts.
On Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton and Super Cam.
I just feel bad. I'm just a feel bad kind
Pity
of person.
him.
You know, he's just he got banged up, but also that Super Bowl, yes, he was getting.
Boo hoo.
I remember that from last year, but
At
yeah,
least he
I
has
think-
money for it.
I think I agree. If he needed to have a come out season, it really should have been this season. And the fact that you're continuing to see his struggles,
This
and
is
not
definitely
only
his prove
but
it season.
yeah, he's also having the same struggles, but now he's less athletic, and old. So
Yeah, his body clearly is not. He doesn't got that pep in his step anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like he
I think I
he's
think
been
I saw
banged
this
around.
one video. I think I saw this one video of a play he did where he was kind of running around the pocket, and the caption said, all the Cam Newton fans are crying right now. So yeah,
Time
it's-
for
it's
the
rough.
Jared Stidham dynasty. That's what it's time for.
No, man, Brian Hoyer. I don't know what you're talking about. It's all about Brian Hoyer. Hey, man, we're playing at camp. For
think I've
all we
seen
know,
enough
Cam
of
Newton
Hoyer.
is in on Belichick's scheme, and Belichick's trying to get one of the top quarterbacks. Like he's trying to get like Ian Book or something.
Nah,
out
he's
of
trying to
this
get a
job.
top. He's trying to get a top running back.
I think
Stop.
Rick Burkhead is
Since
fine.
Cam Newton's the quarterback, he's trying to get a
No.
top running back
Oh,
or a
I
top
see what you're
wide
saying.
receiver.
They
I
got
thought you were
James
talking-
White and Burkhead. They're fine.
They're making a play for a different position instead of the quarterback position. That's why they're tanking.
They would re-sign Randy Moss out of retirement before they drafted a running back.
Now
in the
I will
first
say,
round.
I think the best throw I've seen out of any quarterback this entire season is by that high school quarterback that's a receiver for the Patriots. Best throw I've seen all season. I don't know. I forget his name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I thought you were gonna talk about. What did I think you were gonna talk about? Oh, Spencer Rattler and his
Oh,
who's very good at football, but he's not coming out of the draft just yet. Patrick Mahomes, but skinnier. Marcus. What's your thoughts, man? What's your take? Give me that. I want that spice.
With the spice, the Colts win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Where is spicy territory now?
Nah, you're saying these people have a little bit of weak takes. All right, you know what? Colts win the Super Bowl. Look. A lot of people are talking about their Super Bowl sleepers, right? You know, you have the Raiders, and you have the Dolphins.
Raiders
and
are
they're
not a
good
Super
teams.
Bowl sleep. I have to put
Well,
Their
that out.
offenses.
I'm saying so people think that. I'm not saying personally me, but
No, I know. I'm just
But,
putting that out there. No.
they have them on Super Bowl sleepers, but I mean, I don't see them having the top defense in the NFL, possibly. Debatably, probably 100%.
Consistency on offense. That's probably why.
But at the same time, you're seeing improvement from there. You're seeing Michael Pittman, he's coming out as a star. You're seeing as Hines, he's really showing up, and he's always showed up, but you're seeing him, really become like almost a superstar. You're seeing
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
then you're seeing
Coming for Justin Jefferson, baby. Coming for Jefferson.
and you're seeing the effort from Rivers, and which he's trying to limit those interceptions, especially if he limited those turnovers, man.
much better
he's-
decisions.
He said it.
Oh my
He said it
goodness.
himself. We could really be undefeated right now, but
Very
it was
true.
because we turned over the ball. He wasn't making smart decisions, and overall it was the offense. But if we pick this up, I mean, I was going to say we'd make the Super Bowl, but I wanted to make it harder.
He's going all in,
want-
bro.
I wanted to make it harder.
Philip
So,
wants to win a ring for his 9 kids. Okay, he
Yeah,
wants it
and I-
this year.
Kind of needs to.
And I think if it doesn't happen this year, I could really see it happening next year with the way
That's
that
assuming we
players-
bring him back though.
I agree. But also just our young players all around are just constantly improving.
I was about
And-
the
Studs.
development of the Colts has been
Studs.
crazy.
Whole bunch of
Yeah,
studs.
definitely.
Whole bunch of studs. Like
My biggest problem with that take, my biggest stumping points are going to be the Chiefs.
I knew
Don't
you'd
bring
say
the Steelers into this. Don't bring the Steelers.
I'm not bringing the
into this.
Steelers in this. Calm down. It's the Chiefs and the Packers. And this
Mm.
game on Sunday is going to be a good test for us and that Packers team. Because if we do go for a deep playoff run and if we do make it to the Super Bowl, there's a good chance that the team on the other side could be the Packers.
It's very
I think
true.
the
And-
defense. I think the defense needs to be outstanding for this game, and the offense
Especially
just
the
needs to not turn
secondary.
over the ball. Just needs to not turn over the ball. As long as they can not turn over the ball, I think the offense can get it done. Because the Packers have a good defense, but it's not top
They're-
tier.
Their pass defense is good. Their run defense is
Run defense.
atrocious.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Atrocious. It's time for Jonathan Taylor's show and Naheem Hines' show. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to see more. I want to see more cartwheel back
Yes,
twists.
sir. I want
sir.
more cartwheels.
More
I want more
gymnastics
flips.
in them.
I want 3 more. 3. I want 3 from him this week. But yeah, Marcus. I think you could have gone hotter, man. No, I'm just.
Hotter?
I'm
Oh my
just-
God!
no, I'm
Even
just
hotter?
kidding.
What more do you want?
Yeah.
You're pushing the
All right,
limits
guys,
of reality.
hottest take of the year right here. Jets are going to win the Super Bowl.
Is that even mathematically possible right now?
The
Technically,
Indiana Pacers will become an NFL team. They will sign. They will sign
will
40 more
merge
players
mid-season.
and make it to the Super Bowl.
Merge
Oh, yeah.
mid-season and win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
all right, yeah. But Marcus, I liked that take, man. I like that take, and it's not just because I'm a Colts fan. I do think the Colts are being slept on, and I think if we can continue to win in these tough games as the season progresses, these next 2 weeks will be big. Green
Yes.
Bay, Titans again, and then
They already-
we've got a break because we've got 2 Houston games. Houston, they trying. They're trying.
We already,
For,
we
for
already,
Marcus-
Marcus's,
sleep
for
on them.
I think for Marcus's hot take to become true, we see these people. We see the Colts go 3 and instead of 2-2, like I said last week, even though we weren't recording. I think they need to go 3-1 for Marcus's take to be reasonable.
So you guys,
Yeah.
for those of you, well, I guess it'd be everybody because nobody saw last week's because we didn't record. We're talking about this 4-game stretch that the Colts have. It's a pretty decent gauntlet where we had Titans, Ravens, Titans,
Packers, Titans.
Green Bay, and then Titans again. Of these 4 games, if Colts win 3,
Right now it's 1-1. We need to win the next 2. And it'll be big. It'll be big to just win. We gotta grow the separation between the Colts and the Titans for that division, so we can secure a playoff spot. Especially with the AFC being so stacked, those wild cards are gonna be it's gonna be a cage match.
they're
Yeah, I
all
feel
6
like
and 3s right now. They're all 6
I feel
and
like
3s
this
right
week
now.
is a must win, even more so over the Titans win or the Titans game, because we beat them at home, absolutely destroyed them at home. And so they're coming to us on a full week instead of us going to them on a short week. I feel like they're going to be prepared. They're going to have some fire because very possibly will go on a 4-game losing streak, and they're going to come in with some fire. So I feel like this week more than anything is a must win just to keep the
Momentum.
Titans and keep momentum and the Titans and the Colts on an even playing field.
Very true. Augustino, I've been waiting all day for this take.
So I had a slightly different version of this take, but since Marcus decided to go with a hotter version of his take, I'll drop my hotter version of my take.
yes.
Nobody in the NFC East will make it to 5 wins.
Oh my goodness.
Is that even possible? Wait,
Yes,
it is.
and it is, in my opinion, likely. I will sit right here. I will sit right here, and you guys can choose my punishment. I will declare nobody makes it to 7, and y'all can choose my punishment if someone makes it to 7.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Someone in the
Pay-per-view.
NFC makes it to, and viewers, if y'all have something, put it in the comments to something y'all want me to do. I got y'all.
All
but
right,
let me
I
tell
want
you,
to hear
I don't
this
have that-
explanation.
So
I want to see Augustino
start-
do the polar bear plunge.
Ooh.
let me add this real quick. Don't freaking kill me, guys. Okay, like, I would like to live.
You ever
I am
thought
trying to
about
play. I am
skydiving?
trying to play baseball in college. Like keep
Skydiving.
Polar bear
me,
plunge.
keep me safe. Keep me safe.
Something, polar bear plunge. Something crazy,
Grand
but still
Canyon
safe.
plunge.
Still safe. Still
Okay,
safe.
so let's start with the Eagles, right? 3 and 5. So for my take to be true, they can only win 1 game. Now they just lost to the Giants. Okay, I believe they're going to lose to the Browns.
That's fair.
I believe they're going to lose to the Seahawks.
It's also fair.
They're going to lose to the Packers. They're going to lose to the Saints. They're going to lose to the Cardinals. So we're left down to 2 more games. They only have 2 more games to get at least to get. They need to win these next 2 games. They cannot drop either of these games to reach 5. And they're against the Cowboys in their division, and against the Washington football team. I think they're only going to win against the Washington football team. Okay?
No, the Cowboys. Clearly, it's obviously the Cowboys. Alex.
I
Smith
wanted to
is
say the
MVP.
Cowboys, but Andy Dalton's back, and I don't know. We'll see how that
I
goes.
don't know. The Red Devil himself hasn't been solid to say the least.
The thing is, them winning after that loss to the Giants, them winning both of those games is very unlikely to me.
That's
Next up, we got the Giants schedules. They are currently, oh shoot, I got my things mixed up. Let me check really quickly, make sure I don't say the wrong thing. Yeah, they are currently also at 3 wins, so they can only win 1 game. I think that 1 win is going to come for them against the Bengals. And then they're going to lose to the Seahawks. They're going to lose to the Cardinals. They're going to lose to the Browns. They're going to lose to the Ravens. And I think the Cowboys are going to edge them out. If they lose to the Bengals this weekend, I'm in even better
Yeah.
sitting even prettier for this take.
Yeah.
Next, we got the Cowboys. First up, they got the football team. I think they're gonna beat them. Then they got the Ravens. They're gonna lose. They got the Bengals. I have the Cowboys choking against the Bengals. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that's gonna be the
I
type of
feel
game
like the
where
Bengals
Cowboys
are better
like,
than their record says as well.
that's also true. And I feel like they're gonna come in here thinking, we got this in the bag. Don't worry about it, and they're gonna choke.
Colts.
Whoa,
The
whoa.
We didn't
Cowboys-
choke though. It's fine.
Cowboys are gonna lose to the 49ers. I have them currently losing against the Eagles, in my opinion, because I think the Eagles are going to lose to Washington. And so I have the the Cowboys losing against the Eagles, and then the Cowboys beating the Giants, given that the Giants beat the Bengals. That spot. The Cowboys and Giants are the ones that makes it a little bit more difficult for this take at nobody getting to 5. Realistically, and what I was gonna do when I was debating whether I want to make it hotter or not, I was gonna say nobody gets to 6 wins. I'm fairly confident no one's gonna get to 6 wins in there. I promise you, nobody's getting to 7. And then for last, we have the football team. Who did they play again this week? Forgot.
The Lions. They lost to the Lions. But I
Right,
don't know
they
who
lost
they're
to the
playing
Lion.
next week or this coming week.
This coming week, they've got against the Bengals, which is this team that keeps coming up again.
Everyone's playing the
keeps coming up.
Bengals.
Everybody's playing the Bengals, and honestly, the Bengals are going to be a really good test for this take, just to see how they do. So I don't think they're going to. They might beat the Bengals, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to lose to the Cowboys. They're definitely losing to the Steelers. Definitely losing to the 49ers. Definitely losing to the Seahawks. Definitely losing to the Panthers. And I have them upsetting the Eagles.
So
Washington has 2 wins only right now.
So who wins
So
the
they are
division?
capable. They are capable of getting 2 wins during this time and still not reaching the 5.
Who wins the division?
Who wins the division? I actually can't tell you right now because it would come down
Would
to
it be the
heads-to-heads,
Eagles?
and I think it would end up being
Or the Giants?
the Eagles off of head-to-head
Probably.
right now. But in my take, I think I don't know. It gets complicated.
Yeah.
There's also a possibility for a 3-way tie.
Technically, the Eagles do have a tie as one of their games. So if it
Yes.
comes down to that, they will technically get the. Who would have thought that would give them the playoff spot? That's depressing.
But yeah,
But-
looking at the current playoff picture, if the season were to end, we have Green Bay 7-2, New Orleans Saints 7-2, Arizona Cardinals 6-3, and Eagles 3-5-1. It's so bad. It's so
painful.
bad.
It's painful. The games
so
are
bad.
entertaining because they're so bad. That's how bad the games are. Is they're
Followed up by
entertaining.
the Bucks, the Eagles. If they were in any other division, they would not even be in the hunt. They wouldn't even be considered in the hunt for a wild card spot.
Yeah. It's not even okay. It's not okay.
And again, I'm gonna just apologize for this entire segment. I'm sorry for any fans of the NFC East, but
You chose
you guys
the
are
wrong.
depressing
for
this
you,
year.
man.
You guys,
They're
I'm
in a
sorry,
hard-
but you guys are depressing this year. Like I know, like okay, I'm pushing the hot take with none of you guys is getting to 5 wins, but like I said, I promise you, none of you guys are getting to 7. Put it in the comments what you want me to do if somebody reaches 7.
Okay, so can we wrap it up because I have to eat soon?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
So we're almost done here. I have no idea where Tony went. That's okay.
I mean, Tony's right there.
Yeah, Tony, your forehead looking nice today, homie.
Whoa.
But to wrap it up real quick, the Nets will not go even 500. They will have less than 42 wins, even if they get James Harden.
Oh. Why? Why is that?
Here's why.
Okay.
I have no idea what they're calling that coaching staff because it's not a staff. I don't know who thought Amari Stoudemire, Steve Nash, and Steve Van Gundy was a good idea to coach a professional basketball team. But that's not. We already have drama between Steve and the players. It's Gundy. He's always got something. He's big ego boy. He thinks he's all that. Amari Stoudemire, really? That's the best you could do, Nets. On top of that, Kyrie is the biggest virus and toxic person in the NBA. I don't
The
care.
handle's so clean though.
I don't care. That's nice. Congratulations. How about being a teammate for once? It took
But the
LeBron
handles.
James, the ultimate teammate,
But the handles.
Augustino,
I said the same thing about the Celtics when they got Kyrie. So
and it was true.
yeah,
And it was true. I don't think Katie's still ring chasing. Poor guy. He doesn't know how to prove people wrong. He's just not. He's crazy. Katie's crazy. Him and his like 7 foot long feet. And then James Harden has clearly been the issue in Houston all along. That's a conversation for another day. I just think that's too much clashing. It's not gonna click. There's no clicking.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like this.
It's great individuals that don't know how to mesh.
Yeah. It's like
And so
the
you're gonna
Rockets
have-
this year, except on an
Yeah.
even larger
So you're
scale.
gonna have what you call it? It's like to put it in perspective, if for some people, I don't know, maybe we have people that aren't big fans of basketball or sports in this style. What I feel is gonna be like is you have guys that are putting up, let's say, 25 points per game on different teams, and then you bring them together, all 5 of them, to one team, and you expect it to be 25 times 5 and get 125 points per game.
That's not how.
But what you
that's not
don't
how it works.
realize, but what you don't realize is that when someone gets 25 points, they're taking points away from someone else
Right.
because it's a possession. When you score, no one else scored on that possession.
Who's going to be
And-
passing the ball of those 3?
Exactly.
Not
And
Kyrie.
these players,
Not Harden.
at least they
And
don't
these
have Russell
players-
Westbrook.
yeah, and
Oh
these
my
players aren't players that are going to be okay with giving up points to the other players.
Correct.
So
Mundo.
yeah, we'll see how those egos clash.
Yep.
That's a really good point.
That's
Yeah.
that's my thought. I think that the best players on that team will not be any of those people. I don't think Harden will end up on the Nets. If he does, it'll only make things worse. Just another ego and another ball hog. They don't need that. That's not going to help them. I don't care how many step back threes he can throw up in a game.
You also
Good
got to
for-
think about how much you're going to give for him.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's going to take a big
Because
chunk.
the Rockets were like, bro, if you're not going to give us like KD or Kyrie, we're not giving you Harden, which would completely defeat the point of trading for
That's
Harden
all.
to begin with.
I saw a report that basically said the Nets were trying to give everything, literally everything, except Harden and
Yeah.
I mean not Harden, Kyrie and KD.
Yeah, but
Which-
oh,
the Rockets are like, nah.
oh
No,
no.
no.
I'm thinking about that. It's just making me cringe, man. Oh my god.
Would you switch Kyrie for Harden?
Yes.
Yes, I think Harden's a better teammate than Kyrie, and I don't like saying that he's a teammate at all. Because Chris Paul is not one to be dramatic, and when I saw the way he was in Houston, bro, I knew something was up. So.
Kyrie's he's like the Kanye West of basketball, but he's not as much of a legend as Kanye West.
No, he hasn't been good enough to
Yeah.
beat Kanye.
The handle's so clean though. All right, real quick before we go, I want to ask y'all hottest take of the hottest takes. Let's rank them hottest to coldest
Okay, all
for
right.
this week.
Well, let's think. We got Ian with the Mets, Tony with Cam. I think Tony's on the bottom.
Yeah,
Automatically.
I agree. Tony coldest take for me.
Coldest. Tony's coldest. I probably give myself second coldest. I don't know. Maybe Ian. I think Ian's had a lot of realism to it.
I think Ian's, in my opinion, is second coldest because of the 4-year time period he gave.
If he
he
said
gave
next
the
year,
Mets.
yeah.
If it would have said next year, hottest take of the evening. He gives him 2 years, 3 years. It could definitely get if he gives him 2 years, which is what I would say for a hotter take, is what you call it, a little bit more unrealistic but still doable. 4 years is something that I honestly expected from the Mets.
So Ian second coldest, and then I'll go maybe you third. You or me are pretty interchangeable. We're both. It's realistic.
I mean, I'd say that you would be third, and then
I'll go would be
Marcus
second.
is top. Yeah.
Marcus is
Yeah,
definitely
Marcus
top.
definitely got the highest.
Marcus, bro,
with the
Marcus,
Colts winning the
congratulations on
Super Bowl.
hottest take of the day.
No, I can't make it too much of a gap, so I gotta
You came
gotta
in
be
with a
careful.
fire.
I gotta
Oh
be
my
careful.
We gotta
Oh,
keep
About to
track
lose.
of who wins. We gotta keep track of who wins.
Yeah,
So Marcus got the first win.
Marcus has the first
Marcus
win.
has the first
And
win.
we'll keep track of who has the most coldest. So Tony
Yeah.
has one cold and Marcus has one hot. So big bet.
Gotta give trophies. You know, we gotta give something like
we
these.
will give. We'll talk about more on the details.
Yeah, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Tony's got to sign the L. All right.
all right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been fun. We will
It's
be
been good.
back as soon as possible. Hopefully with a guest. We do have some people in mind to hope that we hope to get to talk
Yes, sir.
some funny stuff, some entertaining characters that we have
No spoilers.
planned. No spoilers. No spoilers. It doesn't even matter. Y'all wouldn't know anyways. Y'all aren't. What y'all want? Like, ooh, it's blah blah blah. You don't know who that is. You don't even know who we are. But
we don't got that kind of clout. Don't worry.
no, we don't know. And the answer. Wait, it's totally not Randy Moss. Totally not Randy Moss.
That's
Hamac.
Definitely not.
Don't even tease them like that. we don't have that kind of pull yet.
Oh, I wish.
Maybe
we
one
did.
day. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll be sitting. We'll pull up this clip when
That would
Randy
be-
Moss comes in to be interviewed.
Well, it's
Mario
been.
Chalmers, bro.
Oh yeah,
Come on,
bro,
yes,
the
sir,
goat,
Mario.
Mario
Mario
Chalmers,
Chalmers, hit it up. Hit us up.
Best player in the
Yes.
of all time.
best player of all time, Mario
Yes,
Chalmers.
please.
All right, well, this has been TBD Sports. Hope y'all enjoyed. We hope to continue to get that content out to y'all, and hope y'all enjoyed listening to us talk about random stuff, because we like talking about random stuff and it's fun. So have a good night, enjoy y'all's days, and we will see you next week.